So today, I want to talk to you about variations or levels of trust with God. Um, so what I've been, I got real life, real family, real kids, real everything, same as you. And I wanted to share something that I've been going through. Just because I'm out here living this adventure with God does not mean that there aren't obstacles and, everyday life be life, and y'all, life be life. And so one of the things that I realized, more and more, it's not that I didn't know this, it's that it's one thing to have a head knowledge about something, and it's totally different to have experiential knowledge. And that's actually the same thing with God, right? Like, we can know about God, we can have knowledge about the Bible, we can have knowledge about whatever, and yet not experience it. And it's only intellect. It's only information, but there is no transformation or implementation to it. And so this happens in our relationship with God. It happens in everything. Y'all, look at those clouds back there. That is so beautiful. I just came off of the tail end of my exercise routine today, which was a 20-minute walk. And I just figured I would just take y'all with me on this cool down. But so these varying levels of trust. At some point, I trusted God that and accepted Jesus, that I wouldn't go to hell. You know what I'm saying? But I did not trust him to lead my life. That didn't come till, I don't know, years, decades later. I didn't know what that was. Nobody really talked about it. And then I had kids, and or I got married. That was a level of trust. Have kids. These bugs trying to get me. Another level of trust. And I had to continue to make a choice to trust him. Well, I just had 2 invitations to trust him. One dealing with my kids and one financially. And so, oh God. So part of this journey is for me to stay transparent and vulnerable, not for the sake of everybody being in my business, because I really don't like that, to be honest with you, but for the sake of you knowing that you're not alone. And this isn't something that only you are going through, but that everybody faces at one point in time. So yeah, so I've had a source of income that came in for the last ever. And it has been, in some cases, my only source of income, even though, me and God have had falling outs about me working and what kind of jobs to work. It's been an interesting road because I grew up working, right? I've been working since I was 10. And then when I had kids, when I got married, God had something different in mind that I didn't understand, because it didn't make sense that I'm an able-bodied person not working. But when I tried to push past like what I thought God was saying, or not even thought, what I knew he was saying, can I tell you that like I have physical issues. Like, my body felt like it was breaking down. Like, it was bad because I was trying to do what I thought I should be doing versus what God said to do. Like, that's a whole lesson right there. But so finally, it was so unbearable that I stopped working. That was the last W-2 job that I have had since 2000. Judge me if you want to, I don't care. Because I know what God is saying to me, and I know what he has provided for me, and I know what obedience looks like. And to be honest with you, sometimes obedience looks nothing like what society would assume God would ask of you. It don't always match. It don't always make sense. Most of the time, it just doesn't make sense. And even when you are loving God and trying to go with him, though, that stuff didn't make sense to me. And it went against what my then husband, saw and desired. So then I would go get part-time jobs, good paying part-time jobs, so that I could appease him, but I was still being disobedient to God. All because it didn't look like what people or society would say following God would look like or be. And so I struggled with that. And I always felt like I had to choose between God and him, or God and people's opinions, or God, you know what I'm saying? And something that didn't align societally, educationally, relationally with what he was telling me. And so I always had this internal tension going back and forth. Finally, I was like, forget it. I'm going to do what God says. Because I was exhausted. I was always exhausted going between him and them, whoever them was. Always exhausted going between him and them. So when God, would tell me, I'm not going to give you another W-2 until your next W-2, and this was 13 years ago, in 2000, he said, you're not going to have another W-2 job until it's from your own corporation. And I was like, at that time I had no clue or no desire to own my own business. I was like, I don't even know what that means. Now I do, but I didn't. And I tried everything. I still look for jobs on LinkedIn, Indeed, Simply, I looked on everything. And then I would get graphic design jobs, videography jobs. I've done all of that. Email ghostwriting. I've done all of the things, but I had to start doing them in partnership with him. And so here recently, one of those solid financial provisions, ways of providing that he had given me over the years ends this month. Now, I didn't think about it because it's just been there. And when I got the reminder that it wasn't going to be there, I freaked out. I had a freak out moment because, oh my God, this has been consistent. I know what this looks like, as far as budget goes. I know what this looks like in my life, whether I have it all to meet my bills or not. You know what I mean? When you get settled and familiar, change throws you off. Oh my God. It's like, now what do I do? Oh my God. Right? And we panic or get anxious and all these things. And as that was rising up in me, I have this method that God gave me that I didn't realize I did, but he showed me this process that I take myself through. And it's called RIOT, RIOT. And it stands for reflection, introspection, ownership, and taking action. And so I had to do that. I had to do that and say, why am I freaking out? What is wrong with you? What is going on? Because I don't like feeling anxious and, all that. I don't like that. And so I was like, what is happening? And what I realized was happening, thank y'all for your patience. I got to keep moving else my body will be all messed up. But this is a cool down, I told you. What was happening is fear was trying to set in because it felt like I was going to have nothing. But then God reminded me, remember that client I just brought in? I said, yeah. He said, why you think I brought it in at this time? And I was like, oh, snap. Yeah. He said, and what you're getting from the client is more than what you get from that regulated payment that you've had over the years. And I was like, oh, snap, you're right. And so he's, me and God in this conversation, and he said, At what point did you think I was going to stop providing for you? And I didn't think that he was going to stop providing for me. It's just that the thought, right? The thought of not having that steady thing freaked me out. I was like, what am I going to do? And he was like, what are you talking about? Right? So how does that equate to this trust thing? That meant I need to put new level of trust in him with this, and realize he does not fail me. He does not fail you. But when we focus on what we don't have, sometimes we forget what we do, or we can't see what we do. And that's what happened for a moment. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, I gave you that for a reason. Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, God, I'm sorry. I just, when change happens, sometimes, it can knock you off your game. So that was the first layer of trust. The second layer of trust has been with my children. I have 3 amazing humans that I have been blessed to steward. They're each so different. At the time of this recording, they're 19, 20, and 15. And they each have their own paths. They each are very different, but all loving, amazing, strong. But I'm telling you right now that this journey of transitioning from full-time mother to mother/coach, advisor, cheerleader is not easy, because you can't control anything. So if you're watching and you have newborns or teenagers in the house, kids in the house, you may think that it's hard now and that you're worrying now, but when they get out on their own, oh my God, it's a whole thing. Because at that point, you have to trust what you planted in them. You have to trust what you planted in them. So over the years, the reason that God said that I would not have a W-2, that I would not work outside of my home, is because my job for all these years has been raising these people. I didn't like it. I wanted to work. It really messed with my identity, because I felt like at that time, if I didn't work, then I didn't feel worthy and worth anything, because, if you're not making money, then what you bringing to the table, like that's what people say. If you've heard that from people, that means that they are very short-sighted if they can't see that you bring more than money to the table, because you're so much more than the money you bring in. I promise you. Does the money help? Yes. Is the money important? Yes. But that is not all that you bring to the table. So that's a lie. All right, hear me very well. That's a lie. So I had to get over those things and it took years. Now, don't think this was like, okay, Lord, I just trust you so much. No, I spent years looking for jobs. I spent at least 12 years looking for a full-time job that he kept blocking. In 12 years, no, this is 23 years. In 23 years, I can't tell you how many applications I filled out. It was a full-time job filling out applications for full-time jobs. And I only got 3 interviews. I gave up when a friend of mine was the training manager at Chick-fil-A. This is while I was in Omaha. He was a training manager at Chick-fil-A, and he's like, hey, we got an opening, from like 9 to 2. It'll still afford you to be able to, be at home with your kids, take them to school, pick them up from school, that kind of thing. It was literally a mile from my house. All I was going to be doing is pouring tea and saying, my pleasure, how you doing, to the people that came in, which are usually senior citizens and retired people, because they just came to chill out at Chick-fil-A. So I filled out the information. I got the interview, and I was like, surely I'll get the job at Chick-fil-A. Listen, when I didn't get that job, at Chick-fil-A, I was like, God, This was the perfect thing. And he was like, it was not. It was. It was a mile from my house, which meant I could walk up there. I could walk the kids to school and then walk to work, walk back to the school, and then walk us all home. We'd be home before 3 o'clock. Like, what? I thought that was perfect. He said no. At that point, I was like, I'm done. I will raise these kids. And it took my mom. I'm so grateful for her, because my mom had to be the one to constantly and lovingly say, baby, your job from heaven is to raise these kids. God will take care of you. But I was so focused on not being or being worth something in the eyes of society. I was missing it. And I almost missed all the years. And once I got clear and was like, okay, God, I'm going to do it your way. Can I tell you the peace I had, the joy I had? God might be calling you to do something that is outside of the box, that is against the norm. And the more you try to do it your way, the more frustrated you feel, the more aggravated you are with the people who are saying, this is the way, when you have clearly heard that God said, that ain't the way, not my way. That's not my way. And so I want to encourage you, go back and have that conversation with God, because he's inviting you to something beautiful with him. Oh yeah, look at this. I know there's a squirrel. You see that big old lizard? That's crazy. Okay, sorry. I had to, for my listeners, my bad, I apologize, but I'm talking about, it's a huge lizard up here on the wall. I don't know where he came from, but never mind. Just every now and again when you're talking with me, you're going to get a whole squirrel conversation, so just get ready. Anyway, but he's inviting you to trust him and to walk with him in a way that many refuse to do. Many refuse to walk with God in the way that he is asking them to, because it's unknown, right? Because it doesn't make sense societally, because what will I do? How will I eat? What, like all the questions. And let me tell you something. There's a guy in the Bible by the name of Abram, Genesis 12, where God said, hey, I want you to leave your family, leave everything you know, and I want you to come to this land with me. It's unknown. He didn't know where it was. He was like, okay. And God said, when you come with me, I'm going to make your name great. I'm going to bless you, and I'm going to bless you to be a blessing. Right? And and many times, let's be honest with you, that's been my life and my calling. It's been very much walking out this path of Abraham, going into lands that are unknown, not understanding exactly how I'll be taken care of or where I'm going. But I know God. And to be honest with you, Abram didn't even know God, because he was not, he had not interacted with God yet, not like that. And he grew his relationship with God. He did some stuff, like he was afraid of getting killed in Egypt, so he told his wife Sarah to tell the Pharaoh that because Sarah was cute, okay, and Pharaoh he was like, hey, who is that? And in his own strength and effort to not be killed, Abram was like, tell him you're my sister. Oh God, that was his wife, y'all. But he was like, I'm scared. You ain't gonna get me killed because you cute. Tell him you my sister. But the Lord told Pharaoh, as he was trying to entertain Sarah, that this is his wife. And Pharaoh was like, Pharaoh called Abram, get that man in here. He was like, you trying to kill me? This your wife. Why would you say that? Went off, kicked him out of Egypt. But this is what we do. Like, we try to make our own way. When God is saying something, you've heard him, and you're trying to go forth in him. God, I trust you. I trust you, Lord. Let's go. And then you meet an obstacle and be like, what the ham sandwich is this? And then you say, okay, I'm just going to get this little part-time job and it's going to be good. And then you get the part-time job or not. But either way, it never works out. Other stuff starts to mess up because you're not being obedient and you're not trusting. And so this has been part of, where my life is. This is really what my life is. And with my children, now that they're no longer in my house like that, man, I'm having to trust what God says, which is, number one, they my kids first. I send them to you, through you, to steward them and to teach them and give them my love, help them understand their identity in me so that they can go out and be amazing in the world. Okay. Until it's time for you to release them back to him and let him do it, because they're his kids first. And so what I've been having to do, this is the second thing of trusting him, is that do I want to see my kids hurt, or do I want to see bad things happen to them? No, I don't. But we all have a journey. We all have a process by which God matures us, strengthens us, anoints us, gives us authority. Like there's so many things that happen, and the things that happen in your life were not meant to kill you, though those attacks from the enemy were. But you didn't die. And so here we are. Here I am in the midst of this saying, God, I trust you with my finances. I trust you with my children. Two very important, huge pieces of my life. And even when I wanted to freak out, having to say, hold on, is this really, has God let me down? Is this really like the end of me and God as we know it? No, it's not. It's not. It feels like it. It feels like it, because it's like, bruh, can't we just keep things the same? No, we cannot. We cannot keep things the same, because we grow from faith to faith and glory to glory. Faith to faith and glory to glory. And with each of those, God shows you more about who he is, more about his love, his character and nature, and he shows us more about us and our identity in him. That's why this adventure with God is so amazing. Like, it's not easy, y'all, to do this. Because you have, again, I told you get imprints. If you didn't hear me talk about that, it was a couple of episodes ago. These imprints about the big four, and that's your family, society, education, and whatever spiritual influence you had. And, you might say, well, I didn't go to church. Listen, atheism, everything, Hinduism, it don't matter. Whatever your spiritual influence, whether it was there or not, all of those things are imprinted on us. And some were proper imprints, right? They were correct, and some not so much. And so we spend a great deal of our time looking for the truth, looking for our authentic selves, our authentic voices. And to be honest with you, the only thing that I've found, and I've tried a lot of things, is that God is consistent, that he is the only one who truly knows, and that I can trust him. And so, new levels of trust for me. I hope this was helpful. Give some comments down in the bottom. I told you I was going to be real. There's no reason for me to try to fake this with you, because that doesn't serve you. If you've ever thought about walking with God, accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior, that sounds good till you have to walk that mug out and then be like, all hell done broke out in my life. Like, what is that? So, no, I don't. I'm going to tell you. Ask questions. It's okay. Ask questions of God. He's not afraid of any questions that you have of him. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure to put comments. Make sure to subscribe. Share it with people. If this has helped you, share it with somebody. Maybe it'll help them too. All right. Guess what? I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Later, Gator.